Entrepreneurs have a mindset that sees the possibilities rather than the problems created by change. Good morning. I take great pleasure in welcoming you all to a one of a kind webinar organized by the Postgraduate Department of Commerce, Entrepreneurship Development Cell, Stella College, titled Entrepreneurship with a Social Cause. We will commence today's program with a rendition of a short prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for this new day. We thank you for bringing us all together. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to gain knowledge from this webinar. We pray for the students, the speakers, and the management. We pray to make this event a success. Amen. Thank you. Once again, I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar titled Entrepreneurship with a Social Cause. I'd like to welcome Dr. Sister Rosie Joseph, Principal, Dr. Lima Francis, Dean of Commerce and Business Studies, Dr. Vidya Srinivasan, Vice Principal, Shift 2, Dr. Shanti Ranjit, Head of Department of Commerce, Shift 2, the management, faculty, and students of Stella College. I'd also like to welcome our speakers, Ms. Anuradha Krishnamurthy and Mr. Syed Hussain. The EDC is a growth-driven cell with students aspiring to become entrepreneurs. The cell aims at ideating, innovating, and collaborating, integrating corporates, faculty, and students. Social entrepreneurs around the world have been unparalleled catalysts for social change. Their talent in identifying market failures, their ideas for complex and critical areas, and their skills in tailoring and implementing solutions makes them forerunners of any establishment and makes social entrepreneurship undoubtedly the need of the hour. Today's event will bring to us two power-packed sessions driving the same. So without any further ado, let's begin. For the first session, we have with us Ms. Anuradha Krishnamurthy, founder of Can Do. We welcome you, ma'am. With a PG in social work, Ms. Krishnamurthy started her career as a professional social worker at the Banyan. Moving forward with a trust called the Social Catalyst, she offered management services to young and budding NGOs and co-founded CREA, a market research firm specializing in healthcare. She was also selected for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Entrepreneurs program conducted by the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. She then launched Can Do, a social initiative with star client integration and unique services to reach out to and make people with disabilities employable. As an extension, she also co-founded KZ, a pan-India artisan cheese-making brand with the intention of training hearing-impaired girls in the art of cheese-making. A year into the venture, she was awarded the prestigious Nari Shakti Puraskar in 2017 by the Government of India for her empowering efforts. It is indeed an honor to have you with us today, ma'am. Participants, please note, you can post your doubts or questions throughout the course of the session in the chat section which is available, and the same will be answered by our resource person. Thank you. Ma'am, we now request you to address our audience.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. That was a great introduction. And so I really congratulate you all for doing something like this, which is the need of the hour. So let me jump into what I wanted to discuss today. It is more going to be storytelling, a couple of incidents that happened in my own life, where we all try to learn from the mistakes that we make, and also we also learn something from the mistakes that other make, so that we don't repeat the same mistakes. So here I am, and yes, as you correctly mentioned, change seems to be the buzzword. So we've heard this thing, that change is the most constant thing in the world, right? Let me just quickly share what change I went through. So this is what you see. This was say 30 years ago, and here I am today. So that was the change that I in the physical form of change. But after that, so let me move on to what happened and what transpired in my life. So this was in the year 1992 when I completed my schooling. And all of us at that point of time are stuck with this question of what do we do from here and where do we go. So again, I wanted to pursue my degree in a science stream, and physics was a subject of my choice. So I decided that I would apply to a couple of colleges in the city for physics, and you would have heard about the great the Murphy's law. That is, if something has to go wrong, it would definitely go wrong. So in my case, it happened in the form of my 12th marks. So the subject that I loved the most, which was physics, was what I had scored the least in. And the subject that was not a major fancy for me was chemistry, and that was the subject in which I had scored the maximum. So here I was. The application that I had, sent for physics was rejected, and I got a seat in to do chemistry. So here was something that I was not really prepared to do, but this was the only choice that was available for me. So this is where with change comes a lot of having to adapt to different challenges, to different experiences. So I decided to take the plunge into chemistry, and it took me, kind of 3 years to get used to chemistry and kind of be okay with it. So there are, some of us have um, this great idea of what we want to do, while the unlucky others, some people do not know what they want to do, but at least they know what they don't want to do. So that was my important learning as well. So here I was, after my 3 years in chemistry, I had decided that I did not want to do any further chemistry. And I was looking at my positives. What was it that I was passionate about? So I knew that I was a people person. I liked spending time with people face to face, and I was able to empathize with people and their problems. So while I was doing a bit of research, I came across social work as a subject, and so I had applied for my master's in social work from the Madras School of Social Work. So 2 years went past in a jiffy, and those 2 years were really memorable because I was doing what I was passionate about. So 2 years into my master's, and once I completed my master's in social work is when I joined the Banyan, which is an NGO that works for mentally ill women. Now, the second important lesson for me, I take from the residents of the Banyan. So, for some of you who may not know what the Banyan is all about, the Banyan is an organization that works for people with mental health issues. And so these were women who are total destitutes who land up on the roads of Chennai, and they go through severe mental health issues. They kind of are away from their families, and once they come to the Banyan, medical intervention begins, and we can see the transformation happening right in front of our eyes. So this is the second important lesson for me, to be optimistic. Don't take things just by looking at what it is now. So you have these women who are literally in the bottommost rung of the society. They are destitute. They do not know what is going on with themselves. And then they come to an intervention, crisis intervention space. They get better. And then they want to go back to their families. They want to get back to living the lives that they had lost. So over here, you see that they have touched it's literally the rock bottom that they have hit. And from then, there is only one way to move, that is to move forward and move up. So that is the transformation that happened right in front of our eyes, and that is something that was a very, very important learning for me, and I want you also to learn to be optimistic of any given situation. Like they say, tough times don't last. So this too shall pass, kind of a scenario. So I guess that is where all of us also have to derive the positives and keep moving. So that was one important lesson that I learned through my Banyan experience. Then, of course, we had the mandatory phase in life where all of us need to get married, get settled, and of course, I got married, and I have two young teenagers now. You can see all the grays in my hair, and yeah, as a as a part of a nuclear family, I took a conscious break from my career, spent some time with my children as they were young and they needed, my inputs. Not that I did major to help them grow. So yes, but this was a time that I took as an opportunity. That is the one lesson that I again want to tell you guys. So the opportunity of being at home, having some time right now, currently you all have the opportunity as well, where you have some time in your hand where you can try different things, learn different skills, probably unlearn some things that you don't want as well. So make use of the opportunity that comes your way. So this is the opportunity that I took up, and this kind of paved the way for me to move on to my next phase in life, where I started this trust called Social Catalyst. Now, the idea was very simple. I had some experience in the social sector, and there were these individuals and newer organizations that wanted to do something beneficial to the society, but they did not know how to go about these things, be it forming a trust, a society, or how to apply for funding. So these were small things that people were always asking me help. So I registered this trust through which we were able to reach out to these individuals and small and upcoming organizations, help them put up their plan, proposal for funding, how to register their trust and all that stuff. So this happened, and in 2008 I took the next step into becoming an entrepreneur. So this was a market research firm that my husband and I co-founded in 2008. Touchwood, the firm is pretty much alive and kicking. And so we are a market research firm which focuses in healthcare market research. So the good thing about husband-wife partnership is that we are able to discuss a lot of things. At the same time, we also know how to keep ourselves apart, in the sense that both of us work out of different floors in the same office, and so that's in fact a good thing as well. So why market research? Because market research was more his forte, and I came in to bring the people skills. So I was able to hire some of the founding team members for the organization. So I'm so proud today to say that even when we started Kriya, we wanted it to be an inclusive workplace. So we had two visually challenged resources. They were more like interns that were referred to us. So we were given a very simple brief that these were people with visual impairment and they have undergone their training, and so please make use of them. So we were also not very sure as to how we will be able to get productive work out of them. So because we were a market research firm and things were a lot offline those days, and calling was an important component, and here we had two visually impaired resources. Of course, the only faculty that, if you cannot even call it missing, that they did not have was vision. But what they lagged in terms of vision, they more than overcompensated with their communication skills. So with a little bit of soft skills training, and we bought a few software like screen readers, and yes, they were ready to go. And they were the founding one of the two of the founding team members were people with visual impairment, and I'm quite happy to say that both of them went on to complete 3-4 years with us, and then they moved on to a better perspective, better opportunity. So this was again, I can say, the beginning of the social entrepreneur in me. And so 2012 was again a very, very landmark year. As the person who introduced me said, um, when opportunities come your way. So this came in the way of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Entrepreneur Program. So a lot of women entrepreneurs jump into entrepreneurship more because of the passion. They are passionate about something and they want to pursue that. So sometimes they do not have the time, the energy, or the monetary the wherewithal to do a management program. I'm sure, as you guys are from the commerce stream, and you have an entrepreneurship cell and all that. Back then we did not have much of help in terms of learning these important skills in accounting, skills in finance, how to market yourself. So the 10,000 women program offered all of this to 10,000 women all across the world. And I was fortunate to be a part of the Chennai cohort. And so, as a part of our program, we were supposed to submit either a business plan for our already existing business, or also come up with a new business plan. And so, my business plan was basically Can Do, which was my next venture. So, Can Do, how I envisioned was going to be a BPO. Why BPO? Because we already had some experience in calling work and data collation kind of work. So Can Do would be a BPO, but it would exclusively train and employ people with disabilities. So this was basically my business plan. And 2012, I went on to establish Can Do as a separate entity within Kriya. And so that way we were able to also get more clients. We were able to work with a lot of startups who were looking for the much needed data. So from hiring people with visual impairment to do to the telecalling, lead generation, telesales activity, we also hired people who were wheelchair users who could do the same thing, and people with hearing impairment, they could collate the data. So here you have the perfect team play. So you have the hearing impaired resources who would collate all the data, and we would have the visually challenged telecallers make phone calls to validate, to do to get leads for smaller startups. So I'm so happy to say that today we have touched the lives of close to 200 people with disabilities. And moving on from here, so this was also more a validation of how an idea can get transformed into something very, very concrete. So we should not just stop with ideation, we should also validate some of these ideas and move on with those that we think will work. So we have got a hefty, a lofty ideal of placing 1,000 people with disabilities in various organizations, and this is quite a task. And I would like to use this opportunity to ask for people who want to intern with us. We'll be more than happy. Again, to this extent, we are also coming out with a playbook, which is called the Can Do Superstars, where we are going to talk about at least 180 to 200 various positions that people with disabilities can be hired for. And we also have some some motivational stories about these people that we call the can doers. So 2012 and 2020, we are Candu has been able to touch upon the lives of these people with disabilities. When we are talking about people with disabilities, our experience has been nothing but positive. As I mentioned earlier, these are people. Though they do not have a faculty, they more than compensate with what skills they have. So I get totally motivated when I see this visually challenged individual who lives somewhere close to Chengalpet. He travels 1.5 hours one way every single day, even during the Chennai rains. So he leaves his house about 8 o'clock. He reaches our office in Arvarpet at about 9:30. So that is what I call commitment. And on days when there is a heavy downpour and he's not able to make it, most of the other team members may not even bother to inform us. So there is this person who texts me in the morning saying that there are heavy rains in this area and looks like we might not have a train connection, so can I work from home? So this is the kind of loyalty, and this is the kind of commitment that they have towards the cause. So I want to reiterate once more that these are not people that need our sympathy. These are people that more need an opportunity, and if given the opportunity, they make the most out of it, and they also come out to be your most loyal and committed employees. To that extent, Candu also provides seed funding for these people, because we also want to create micro entrepreneurs out of the Canduverse. So we have one of our employees who is trying his micro venture, more like the dabbawala, but this is a sundal and a salad subscription. Unfortunately, because of COVID, there has been a stop with that venture, but we will resume it very soon. So we also provide seed fund to these people who want to try and who want to become entrepreneurs. So there was this parent of a hearing impaired girl who could not complete her education, who said, ma'am, you're able to give jobs and place people with hearing impairment in companies, but there are also so many girls who cannot complete their education. So what about them? They are sitting at home just whiling away their time. So got me and a couple of people thinking. And I'm not very sure if I am a movie buff, so I watch a lot of movies. And there is this movie, a Hindi movie called Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. And those days, Shah Rukh Khan used to be the reigning superstar. I guess he's still a bit of a superstar even now. So he he talks. He actually says this dialogue: if there is something that you are so desperate you want to happen, the entire universe will conspire to make it happen for you. So I had known of this friend of mine, more an acquaintance, and she's an amazing cook. And I knew of only one person who could cook that well in our group. And so Namrata, I asked Namrata, there are these girls that are hearing impaired. How about we train them in the basics of baking so that they can find employment, or even go on to set up their own baking units? So shall we do that? And as luck would have it, Namrata said, let's not do baking, because there are a whole lot of bakeries, and baking is not a very, healthy food. The bakery items are not really healthy. So I have recently come back from a vacation in Kunur, and I've learned the basics of cheese making. So why don't we make some cheese, and I can train these girls, and let's see how this goes. So the basics of any food industry is the same. You need to teach them hygiene, how to handle food, and what are the basic precautions that anybody has to take. So the basics can be applied across the food industry. And again, food is not something that will never go out of business. Even now, during the COVID times, we find that the Dunzo guys and the Swiggy guys are rushing to make these deliveries. So we thought, why don't we try doing this? So this was in the year 2016. And the same office space, we converted the pantry area into a mini kitchen. And here we were, a social worker turned entrepreneur, and a management consultant, part-time chef. And here she was, and we had two hearing impaired girls, and we started making some cheese. Now, when I'm talking about validating your idea and following that up with being inquisitive and being curious, something that's new, that is not tried before, and again, try to be a bit innovative. So that is all that we did with Kaiser. Kaiser is an artisan cheese brand that we went on to make into a separate entity. So in 2016, we still were not very sure where this was going. And we had some 3-4 kilograms of cheese, and then we called some of our friends and family members to taste the cheese. And these were more our guinea pigs, because we were not very sure how people would like the cheese. It was more an acquired taste. So, and almost everybody said, we wouldn't mind buying this cheese from you if you were able to make it into a retail product. So this got us thinking, and this was also for me an opportunity to employ more such women. And so thus Kaiser was born as a separate entity. And even with Kaiser, we've been able to do a lot of innovative work. And cheese again is very, very it's not something that we are used to eating. But there was another friend of ours who makes this molaga podi, or idli podi that you call. And so he said, why don't you taste, this is a product that we have launched recently, why don't you try it? And we had some cheese. And so we just got to rub some of the molaga pudi on our cheese. And we got an amazing combination there. And we called it an ode to Chennai. Ode to Chennai, because we were a very, very Chennai based brand. And molaga pudi is more something that a lot of people are used to eating their idli and their dosai with. And this was something that was not available at all. And this is where our kind of innovation worked. And we were really talked about. There was a lot of positive buzz in the market, saying that here are two girls doing cheese in a place like Chennai, which is humid and not so conducive. And they have come up with a combination of having cheese with some molaga pudi. And so we got a lot of positive press coverage. And of course, a lot of people ask the story behind Kaiser, and the story of people with hearing impairment being employed to make the cheese always kind of strikes the chord with most of the people who read these articles. So this happened, and in 2017 we were taking part in a lot of artisan events. And so around February is when I was traveling to Trichy, and my partner was again traveling somewhere, and I got a phone call. And somebody said that, hi, we are calling from Delhi, and you've been chosen for an award. Now, Gurugram, from where the call generated, is in the headlines for a lot of phone scams, online fraud, where people get to lose a lot of their money because of these scam calls. And so I was not very sure whether this was authentic or if it was. I did not take this any seriously. So I just said, okay, fine, thank you. And in a couple of minutes, I got a call again saying that, ma'am, can you please share your account number details? Because the award has a monetary component as well. And I was like, 100% sure that this was definitely a scam call. And moving on, I mean, there were a number of calls. Would you be able to come to Delhi to receive the award? And so I was like, okay, this looks like serious business. And then, so when I was asking more about what this award was all about, and the person from the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare told that this is the Nari Shakti Puraskar, which is given to women on International Women's Day every year. The government of India recognizes the work and effort of people, women who work towards the betterment of the society, and we our joy knew no bounds. This was not something that we had even thought of in our dreams. And so the IS officer who was coordinating these awards and the awardees, he told us, a lot of you have come from different parts of the country. I mean, we had a woman who had developed an app for safety. It was a safety app, and there was this woman who was collecting seeds of native trees. And here we were, two cheese makers from Chennai. And so they said that, ma'am, we want a lot of women to be inspired by you guys. The inspiration part of it is very, very important, because a lot of people think social work or working in social issues, you either have to be somebody of the stature of Mother Teresa. And at that point, what happens is we think that we are not capable of contributing, or we can never be on par of somebody who has literally spent their life. That is not something that all of us, we can idolize the person, but that is not something that we would want to do, looking at somebody, right? So we were all, a bunch of women who were trying to do smaller things from our own place. So this is not even a pan India kind of a movement that I'm talking about. So be an inspiration and be inspired. So that is something that we should never, forget. So if we can be an inspiration for a lot many other entrepreneurs who are thinking even to make a small little difference in the life of others, then I think that is definitely the right way to go about doing something. So the inspiration part of it, and again, for me, I get inspired by a whole lot of people that I work with. I want to mention the one incident here about a person with visual impairment called Raja, who was working with us. Now, Chennai floods, none of us can forget. And since we were in the call center area of working, this organization asked us if we could set up a call center where people who were stuck in their homes, they still had a little bit of phone battery left, and they could reach out for help to even rescue them from wherever they are. And so this came up to us, and we had one visually challenged resource of ours who was living close by. So we requested Raja, this can doer, to ask if he could man a rescue helpline, and Raja jumped into it. And here he was sitting with his computer in front of him with a screen reader, with a telephone. And you will not believe. So this was supposedly a person with visual impairment, a physically disabled person who was sitting there, and he was receiving calls, panic calls from people all over the city asking for help. Can you please help us? Can you evacuate us? the water levels are rising in our area. And you should have seen the calm and composure with which Raja handled all these calls and then put it on to the team that was there on the field. So he was doing the little coordination, and of course the helpline number was telecast, was given over to all the news channels. And because the number of calls started increasing, we kind of quickly put together a group of volunteers again to do this job. And so this was an inspiration for me to look at Raja work. And the initial 1 week, I don't even think he stepped out of the room to have a cup of tea, because he said people were very, very desperate for help. So, so this is a very, very important lesson for me. Get inspired. I get inspired by nature. So I try to do at least one or two Himalayan treks in a year. So I've been to 5 treks so far. Myself and a bunch of friends, we set out from Chennai, and we've been to the Valley of Flowers. It is quite a task. You need to really prepare yourself. It puts you through some physical exercise regime, but at the end of it, you really have this sense of achievement. So this trekking trip is something that I really look forward to every year. And so get inspired by nature, get inspired by people around you. This is a very, very important lesson for all of us as well. And finally, I would like to end this with I mean, we've all heard Dr. Abdul Kalam, and so dare to dream, and don't stop with your dreams. Try doing something with those as well. So dare to dream and do. You all should be a doer, and have the can-do attitude. And so that is where I want to end this. I guess it was more like a monologue, but I'm ready to take up some questions from you all. And yes, this was the COVID that I wanted to talk about today. And this should be the only COVID that we all hopefully will have to deal with in our lives. The C, which stands for change, the O, which stands for opportunities and optimistic, the V that goes on to say validate your ideas, the I that says be inspired, be inspirational, try to be inquisitive, and try to be innovative, and D, which is dare to dream and to do. So thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. I think, as you rightly said, inspiration is very important, and this session was nothing short of inspiring. So, thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank
I would just like to reiterate some of the key takeaways that you said, which is to be optimistic, to be innovative, to accept the change, to go with the flow, to remain committed to your task, to make a difference, and dare to dream. So, I think it was absolutely innovative. So, we will now move on to the Q&A session. So, do we have our questions? Yes.
Sure.
So the first question is, after having established several entities under Can-Do, do you have any plans of starting other ventures in the near future?
Okay. See, I am more a practical person. So yes, while we are all in the quest of doing things or doing things differently, you also need to look at what is the outcome behind it. So I always encourage, even when we started Kaiser was not supposed to be a private limited enterprise that we have made it now. So it was more an idea that we wanted to validate. We wanted to see if it will work, if there was a market. So I would say, yes, I will. I don't want to, stop with this. Probably there are a couple of other ventures that will come up, but when, how, that is for me to wait and see. But something that I really want to do is to get back to my roots and farming. So that is something that I'm very, very passionate about. And I see a lot of people around me go back to doing organic farming and other things. So you never know, 2 years down the line.
Okay. Ma'am, the next question is from Danisha, which says, Ma'am, you would have faced difficulties along the way. How did you overcome tough situations?
Okay, yeah. I mean, as I mentioned, the tough times and the tough situations last, but you just have to, wait them out. So they're not going to be there forever, right? So when there is a down, there is also an up that follows it.
Yes.
So if you see the sine curve, so there is always an up and a down and an up and a down that happens to all of us in our life. So difficulties, definitely yes. Difficulties are there on a day-to-day basis when you're running your business. Like for example, now we are like totally out of production. We have not done any production at all for about 3 months. So it is a difficult situation, but it is something that we know that we will overcome very soon, right? So yes, definitely. That is why I said you need to be optimistic. From down, you cannot go any further down. So you always hope. From there on, you're gonna move up.
Okay. Ma'am, there's another question from Anusuya. Ma'am, yours is a truly inspiring story. I would like to ask you that during this COVID period, how do you get to be a positive person and get inspired?
Oh yeah, I mean, there is no dearth of opportunities. Say for example, all of us are sitting in our homes and we have a lot of time. Of course, apart from your regular emails and your for you guys, it might be some project submission or other things. But if you just open the internet, you are flooded with so many opportunities. Use this time to learn a new skill, to learn a language. You have the Duolingo, you have so many other apps that are available. Like for me, I can't really sit and draw something, so I have got a coloring book for myself, and I'm trying to try that. So these are small things that really make a lot of difference for us in our everyday struggles. I love to spend some time watering my plants. So this is one thing, cycling as an activity. I don't know if your neighborhood you will be able to go out, but physical activity, doing something that is different. Just sign up for an online dance course. Anything that will bring in that little bit of cheer and that brightness is what we all should look for.
Okay. So, do we have any more questions? Okay.
I did not run through my presentation somehow. I don't know why it stopped there.
Okay.
So if you can just, um, I'll probably, share it with you because it had my
Yes.
email and other things. So if possible, you can also, share it with your
Share it with
participants.
that. Okay.
It's
Looks
kind of
like
so
there's
useful.
another, yeah, looks like there's another question which says, Ma'am, when you started the business that is cheese making, it's quite a unique idea. So, what motivated you to do it and how did you assist finance to run the business?
Okay, so when we started cheese making, it was not cheese making that was the main idea behind it. So cheese making happened because my partner had just been on a vacation to Kunur, and she had learned the basics of it. She wanted to try it. I was more keen on generating employment opportunities for girls with hearing impairment. And cheese making only happened because my friend suggested that why don't we try this. And for the first 6 months, we did not go anywhere with that. We made a lot of cheese, we ate a lot of cheese, and we also distributed some cheese to our friends. And so that is how it began. It started. So the question also asks about how did you assist finance to run the business. So I guess the person means that how did we generate the funds. See,
Yes.
for me, again, I also follow the school of thought that my husband usually talks about, which is, if you are not clear, if you are not confident about your own business, then who else will put money into your business? To start with, all of us are bootstrapped. We work, we have an idea, and then we want to take it to the next level. At that point, we are working with our own funds. And then once we are able to showcase that this is something that can generate money, to all of us, let us be very clear, business is for making profits. So the margin of profit, how much of it you want to be a profit, how much of it you want to pump back into society, all of that is up to you. So for us, if we are not able to take risk with our own money, how can we expect someone else to risk their money into your venture? So I would say, when people are starting something, start with your own money, so that you know that all of this money goes towards a particular thing. So I see a lot of people who are in this business of, I have started a business today, I get so much of funding, I finish all my money in 6 months, and then I'm out of business. I really do not subscribe to that kind of business. Maybe it works for some people, but I kind of still belong to an old school, where I think that yes, we should start, and we should first show that this is something that can be that is a workable model. And then when you're talking about scaling, when you're talking about expansion, when you go and ask for funds, then people will be in a better position to help you out there.
Okay. So I think with that, we can close the question and answer session for the day, ma'am. So I just wanted to say thank you. So I would now like to propose a vote of thanks. So on behalf of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell and Stella Maris College, I thank Ms. Anuradha Krishnamurthy for ideating the session, for encouraging us with her success story, her valuable insights, her information, and for igniting the spirit of social entrepreneurship in us. So thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am. It was an honor.
Thank,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. So we will now move forward with our next session. And for the same, we have with us Mr. Syed Hussain, the founder of 5 Minute Farmers. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Syed Hussain has over 25 years of experience in the IT industry and over 20 years in leadership roles in firms like Citi. Hoping to ignite positive change in the country, he is focused on transforming the lives of farmers in India by utilizing technology to come up with innovative solutions that will cause a large scale impact in the lives of people who need it the most. He manages a technology company called Oro Hosting. He started 5 Minute Farmers with the intention of helping them become rich, wealthy and powerful again. He also started a new company called 5 Minutes Australia, providing technology services to Australian clients. It's an honor to have you with us today, sir. I would just like to reiterate that participants, you can post your questions throughout the course of the session in the chat box, and our resource person will answer the same at the end of the session. Sir, I now request you to address our audience.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. That was a very inspiring session we all attended in the past 45 minutes. Hats off to the founder of Can Do. Something very brave and something that is really needed. Very happy to spend some time with you. I've spent time with some kids at Stella Maris, I think a few months back before the COVID hit us. I'm sure many of you attended that session. You might be interested in hearing what happened during COVID and how we worked around it. I am grouping this session in 3 parts. The first part, why exactly are we doing this? That's the focus. The second part, we'll go through how are we doing this? And the third part is the key takeaways. By the way, the key takeaways is very important. I'll tell you why. Over the past 25 years, I have learned so many things. Some from the way Dr. Abdul Kalam has worked, some from the way my experience in the US was, and some practically based on my friends and family and the values that they have taught us. I want to make sure all of these I package and give you during this session. So it is going to be a very serious session. Actually, serious is not the right word. It's going to be a packed session. Think of it like a college lecture. Okay, I know some of you might feel bored, but if you really want to do something for India and you want to be a part of the change, spend the next 45 minutes with me. And it is going to be an interactive session. I really want you to give me your feedbacks, and we will spend a minute or so waiting for you to reply. Okay, and here is a thing I always do. I make sure people understand what is in it for them before even they commit. So here is an example. If you answer these questions that I'm going to ask you, and the person who does it right will get mangoes from 5-minute farmers. That's the way we start. So you will see this pattern happening throughout the things that I do. You will see that one, we'll do things to make sure we understand what is in it for the other person. Some of you girls might feel bored, but when I say mango, maybe some of you might say, yeah, why not? I will try. Yeah. So always think about the next person. What is in it for them? You can also call it using a word called empathy. Always step into the shoes of other person and see what can I do to make sure they are happy. Okay. And I'm hoping this offer will make you happy for the next 45 minutes. And I assure you, it'll be worth your time. So with that, I would like to start going into the background of why am I doing this? I come from a very middle-class family, born to a Muslim father and a Brahmin mom. We were almost isolated from families, and friends is all we had. If you see anything good in me, it's because of my friends. Friends from school, friends from college. The way you work with them, the way you interact with them, so many social values are taught by your friends. So I'm sure you'll also appreciate your friends around you, right? So I also had very good friends. Wasn't very good at school, average at school. And then luckily, my dad made sure we studied well. All three of us, my elder brother and my younger sister, he made sure my dad and mom, they spent all their money educating us, making sure we were good. We at least had good degrees. And because of that, I got a job in TCS, 2 years spent in India, and then went to the US in 1999. From 1999 to 2012, I spent about over 12 years in the US. That is the time where I'll give you a simple scenario. Just think about this. Working in India, doing software programming. By the way, I'm a technologist. I did my computer science master's degree from College of Engineering, Guindy. Imagine a programmer doing some work in India and getting 5,000 rupees monthly. Exactly 5250 was what I was getting every month. And then this guy goes from India to the US, to New York, and he gets $5,000 a month, doing nothing different. The same task, the same programming. The secret is cut, copy, paste. That's all I did. Doing the same programming work. How can a guy in India earn 5,000 rupees? And how can a guy in US earn $5,000 for that? What is the problem? So once I spent a year or two in the US, of course, you realize that would have given us enough money to make sure our parents are okay, keep sending some money to the parents. So now that the basic necessities are taken care of, I realized a few things. If you do well, if you work well, you move up the ladder very fast. Okay, and by the time I was, I think, 27, I was a vice president in the investment banking division in the technology side in Citigroup in New York. And I realized that if you work hard, you're rewarded very well. So slowly I started thinking, what is the problem? Why is it not happening in India? Why is the guy doing the same work and getting so much in the US and so less in India? So slowly, then you start thinking about how can we make India become better? So I started reading a lot of books. Abdul Kalam was my all-time favorite. I said, okay, I will provide free websites and free hosting for anyone who does anything for India. So we tried to help Arvind Kejriwal with his website, righttoinformation.org, and quite a few people who were not so popular at that time. But doing that was not enough. I started thinking, why is India so poor? Why is India still an underdeveloped nation? Many people fight with me and say, India is a developed nation. I say, no, we are still an underdeveloped nation. The rich is becoming richer, the poor is becoming poorer. How do you make the change? And I look at somebody like me, right? 12 years of my life. What did I do? I spent 12 years of my life using my brains, giving it to somebody in the US in exchange for money. How do we prevent this? How do we make sure, the girls who are here, right? I'm sure you're double as smart as I am and very hardworking. How do we make sure these brains don't get moved over to another country just for money? I went there to the US only for money, nothing else. So I want to see if I can brainwash some of you into getting some of the insights that I have and see if that will make a change. So back to the story. So I wanted to help India, but I didn't have the guts to come back to India because the money was good in the US. Around 2010, we realized that my mother's situation was becoming difficult. She had Parkinson's. So we decided as a family that we will move back to India. My wife Radhika is a big supporter of anything I do. She blindly supports everything and anything I do. So by the way, this is the first takeaway I have for you. You might or might not have a boyfriend. You might or might not have someone in life. I'm sure you'll all get married very soon. If you keep your spouse happy, I think everything will work fine. That's my first takeaway to you. If you want to note it down, this should be the first one. I make a conscious attempt to make my wife happy all the time. And things work out like magic for me. Okay. So we spoke, and I have two kids, Sachin and Sanya. The four of us relocated back to India, primarily to take care of my parents and her parents. Her parents are also getting old. My parents are also getting old. So we thought it's better to come back to India and spend, time with them. Money cannot compensate that particular thing. So given this thing happened, I said, now that I'm in India, let me try and do something that will make a change in the country. So initially I thought, okay, I'll work in the technology field and I'll see if I can do something big. So I spent about a year or two as a CEO of a large organization with about 3,000 plus resources. During that time and during my last 4 or 5 years in India, I realized that, of course, you all know this very well, corruption plays a major role. India is way behind many other countries. And young kids want to be a change, want to do something, but don't know what to do. Okay. Then I said, I have to do something different. And I realized, which area can I focus on? In April 2018, I decided I will focus on the farmers. Why? The farmers in India, I don't know if you know, 85% of them are marginal farmer. A marginal farmer is someone who has 2 to 3 acres of land or lesser. Okay, so we realized the farmers in India are very, very poor, and almost 90% of marginal farmers are in debt. And you know the suicide rates, right? It's horrible. India's suicide rates are one of the worst anywhere in the world among the farmers. So I spent almost a year studying their problems. Okay, now these are the things that I'm going to talk to you about. So I hope you understand now, why am I doing all this? Because I want to see the next generation, the generation that you girls are going to be living, to be amazing. I want India to be a developed nation. And this is my small contribution. And along this way, if I can enlighten a few of you, and then you can enlighten a few of others, right? Then I think we can be the change. We don't have to wait for somebody else to come and be the change. You are the change. The girls here, the ones I met in Stella Maris, right? What energy levels, how eager you are to be the change. And now I'm sure there are many other young kids who have come here who are listening to it and watching this. And I'm sure you all want to do something. So if I can be the trigger for one or two of you, then I think the motive is accomplished. So that's the first part of the story. Why am I doing this? Okay, as I do this, you'll always realize one thing. You will realize that this is the thing that I learned in the US. Marketing is important. Okay. Oh, by the way, I don't know how many of you are helping your parents at home now that COVID is stuck and they all need help. We don't have any maids at home for the past 3-4 months. And I take care of the vessels and I take care of cleaning at home. Okay. And I really insist that you also do this. You should step up a little more during times of need and show that you are there. And when you do it, don't forget to market yourself. Radhika comes and says, why are you telling people that you're cleaning the vessels? I'm like, yeah, because I'm doing it. I'm proud of the fact that I'm doing it. In the US, I learned this. They take every single thing and market really well. And in India, we do amazing things and we keep quiet. Why? So I really want you all to help your parents. Go tell them. Tell them Syed from 5 Minute Farmer said I should come and help you with housework. And then go tell them. He also said I should market this. I should come and remind you every day that I'm helping you every day. Do this. And tell me what your parents say. Okay. Now, back to the story. So I spent enough time talking about why we are doing this. Now I would like to go into a small presentation. I'm sure I won't bore you, okay? This is the interesting part. This is where you stand to get the mangoes, okay? So I'm going to share my screen now, and let's go through this. So this is 5-minute farmers. Okay. This is the first question I have for you. I think I've asked this to a few people earlier also. What are the top 5 causes for the problems faced by farmers in India? So I'll give about a minute or so for some of you to answer. And by the way, I have a team member from my side, Manvi, from 5-minute farmers, is also in this group. I've asked her to take down notes to understand who is replying. And I wanted to see whoever comes to the closest in giving the replies, we thought we will reward them. So what are the top 5 causes for the problems faced by farmers in India? That's the first question. So, wow, somebody says she's helping. Okay, we're getting some answers. Poverty, rain, debt, climate. These are all right. Poverty, yes. Poverty is the effect, not the cause. Poverty is because of the way things happened, they are in poverty. Yeah, credit system, loans, financially they need support, water scarcity, money, water. Excellent. Middlemen, amazing answer. No minority help given by the government, labor, debt. Yes, some of these are very good answers. I spent about a year studying this. I spent time personally with farmers. Some of the stories I have made me cry. It will make you also cry. So I don't want to tell them now. This is about the suicides and how people said, okay, let's commit suicide. Let one of us commit suicide in this family so that we'll get 2 lakhs tomorrow morning. Things like that are painful. And all of us here are here to solve that problem a little bit. Okay, good. So I'm guessing you have given your inputs. Now I'm going to share my screen again. These are the top 5 problems that we have identified. And I want to spend a minute or so on each of these problems. Marginal farmers. As I said, our farmers have less than 2 to 3 acres. And if a farmer with 2 acres goes and asks someone for, let's say, to buy seeds, it's very costly. Classic example, during Gaja cyclone, we went and helped a lot of farmers in Vedaranyam. So we went to Vedaranyam, we first did the rescue, relief, and then rehabilitation part, right? During rehabilitation part, they said, why don't you buy us seeds? We want to do groundnuts. And the seeds locally were available for 150 rupees per kilo. We inquired that it was G7 seeds coming from Gujarat. And Gujarat Agricultural University was the one that was producing it. So we tried to contact Gujarat directly, the Agricultural University, and we got these seeds for 74 rupees. Half the price. How? We got 1,000 farmers together and we told the Gujarat University, we'll buy it together from you. When you buy 1 kilo seed, you get it for 150. When you buy 1,000 kilos, you buy it for 74 rupees. That is called economy of scale. This is the first thing that I want you to write down. Economies of scale. Economies of scale means when you are together, you get the benefit of buying it in bulk. So many of our farmers are marginal farmers. The government is also doing a lot to bring them together. We also realize this is the key problem, number one problem why they're facing difficulties. Even when renting a tractor, even when trying to do anything, right? You need to be together. When they go buy it together, they get the economies of scale. That is the first problem. The second problem, very low selling price. Even if a farmer struggles hard for 4 months and cultivates carrots, spending 15 rupees per kilo for producing it, the middlemen want to buy it only for 16, 17 or 18 rupees. Imagine getting 1 rupee per kilo per month. And even if they produce 1,000 kilos a month, they're getting 1,000 rupees a month. And in a year, they'll be getting how much? 10,000 rupees? Really? That's the amount you want to pay to a carrot farmer? This is bad. And this is because of many reasons. We'll go into the reasons later, but very low selling price. They're not getting the right amount for their produce. That is the second problem we identified. So the way we are solving it, we're telling the farmers, come to us with your high quality produce. Let us know your production cost and keep a good profit that will make your family happy. We will sell the produce, which is called producer selling price. We will give you the money. And then on top of it, we'll add the logistics cost, we'll add the packing cost, selling cost, and we also take 5 rupees. By the way, I am not running a not-for-profit organization. I am running a for-profit entrepreneurial organization. We take 5 rupees as a platform fees for every 100 rupees we give the farmer. The farmer deserves that 100 rupees, and we deserve this 5 rupees. This is our mantra. You work hard, you will be rewarded proportionately. And I think this is also a form of capitalism. In capitalistic countries like US, you will realize this happens. And here, yes, there is an opportunity, and here is how we make use of it. We're helping the farmers connect with the consumers directly. So they're very happy. The farmers that are working with us today, we have about 300 or so who are regularly giving to us. I can give it to you in writing. I'll give you the phone numbers of every single farmer. I can give it to you in writing. None of them will commit suicide. And we only want to make sure this multiplies in scale and we save as many farmers as possible. And our formula is completely online. And I want people to copy it. Why? If I do it, it'll take 10 years. If 10 people copy it and everyone does it, we can finish it in 1 year. In 1 year, we can get this country out of problem for the farmers. Anyway, that's the second point. Low selling price. The third one, delayed payments. Even if a farmer says, I'm selling it for 10 rupees, the buyer, the middleman, doesn't give him 10 rupees right away. He says, I will give it to you after I sell it, after 30 days, after 45 days, after 60 days. Do you realize the pain that we put the farmer in? He again needs to borrow money on loan. And that's the next point, right? The high interest rate on loans. They cannot get loans at the normal 8%, 10% that everybody gets. Bank is supposed to give them loans at a very discounted rate. You know the price that they get the loan at? They get loans at 36%, 48%, and 60%. You know why? Banks will not give them loans. You know why? The farmer has already defaulted on it. You know why? The last government promised and said, borrow the loan, we will give you loan waiver when we come, when they're elected. Or the government before that would have said that. So there is a ripple effect, false promises from leaders, failed promises. And who is suffering here? Our farmers. So we want to make sure our farmers get loan at a decent rate. That is the next thing that we're going to go after. Finally comes my favorite topic, low production output. So this is the second question I have. Does anyone know how much money our farmers make in 1 acre of land? 1 acre of land in 1 year. Do you know how much money our farmer makes, the average farmer? Take a guess. 1 acre of land, 1 year. How much money does the farmer make? This is the second question for the girls who are interested in mangoes. Please go ahead. Yeah, even otherwise you can answer. I will give you about 30 seconds or so. Wow. Around 25,000, 6,000, 10,000, 1,000. 1 lakh. 1,500,000. Sweta, I think you're the closest. 1 lakh is the approximate number that the farmer makes in 1 year. That means approximately they make 8,000 to 10,000 rupees in a month. Can you believe this? 8,000 to 10,000 rupees after struggling hard? Will that be enough? Barely enough. That is why they are struggling. So we are going to make sure we make a conscious effort to help these farmers. Just to give you a background, a good farmer who is studied, who is a scientist, I think he's in Vellore, he makes about 6 to 7 lakhs a year by doing multi-layered cropping, etc., etc. I happen to meet somebody called Curtis from Canada. Do you know how much he makes? He makes 3 crores a year from 1 acre. Where is 1 lakh? Where is 3 crores? And I spent a lot of time with him. And he said, no, some of my things will not work for you in India. I'm from a cold country. We use very different approaches. Then I told Curtis, what if I learn at least 10% of what you do. It is all in technology. By the way, I'm a technologist, and it's all about blockchain, artificial intelligence, IoT, precision agriculture, robotics, using drones. We want to help our farmers using all this. What if we put all of these into play? Can I make 10% of what Curtis is making? That will be 30 lakhs a year. 30 lakhs a year is 30 times. Oh, let's assume we can't make 10%. How about 1%? If we do 1% of what Curtis does, we'll make 3 lakhs a year. 3 lakhs a year is 3 times what our farmer is earning today. This is where we are. And we are hoping in 5-minute farmers, we should be able to solve that problem. If we claim that we are technologists, we should be able to solve that too, right? So that is what we're hoping to do. Now I'll go back to the presentation. So, next question, what are the expectations of a farmer? Do you realize when farmers come to us and work with us, do you know what they're asking us? I would give you a minute or so to answer this question. What do you think the farmers expect after they have made, after they have produced something, they've cultivated something? What are they expecting? I'll give you a minute to answer this. Daily bread. Very basic, huh? Daily bread. I'm sure if you're a farmer, you'll not stop with that. You just want a daily bread, is it? What about your kids' educations? What about a good quality of life? A good harvest, reasonable price for their produce, good price for their crops, interest at low rate, wages, all good answers, very good answers. Awesome. So now let's see what ideas, what we thought. Yes, all your answers in a different form has been represented here. All that the farmer is expecting is all their produce should be sold for a fair price. And payment should happen at a reasonable time. And they want loans at a reasonable cost. What more do they want? This is what is their basic expectation. By the way, what they don't know is what happens to my produce after it leaves my farm. Every single farmer we met with, 95% of them have no clue. They have no clue where it goes after it leaves their farm. They don't know how to use technology. They don't know how to use yield per acre, how to increase it. They don't know. So this is what we are focusing on. We are educating our farmers that if you provide high quality produce, and if you learn to separate your high quality produce from low quality produce, you will get amazing results. You know what the farmer does today? If he gets 2 kilograms of, let's say, carrot, and let's say half a kilogram is bad, and 1.5 kilograms are good, he mixes all of them together and gives it to the middleman. And the middleman picks one bad thing and says, your quality is bad, I can't give you 50 rupees, I'll give you only 25 rupees or 20 rupees. And our man stands to lose. So what we are teaching the farmers to do is take your high quality produce and give it to us. The low quality produce can also be used, but at a lower price. Don't price them at higher price. Don't expect the best price for the low quality items. We focus on the highest quality only. And we tell them, if you keep this 1.5 kilos separately, we will get you 50 rupees per kilo. That means you get 75 rupees just in this 1.5 kilos. The remaining half a kilo, you sell it however you want. Think of it as a bonus. This is how we teach them. And we educate them on what are all the steps in selling. After the product leaves your farm, we have to bring it to a collection center, sorting, grading, and then packaging happens, and then we need to sell it. So many things have to be done. Then storage, then cold storage facility has to be retained. There are quite a few things to be done. We're teaching our farmers all the steps involved. And slowly we hope this awareness will help them become better. And very soon we're going to teach them how to use technology. We're hoping to take one of our IoT products built by some of our young college friends like you, IoT sensors, like a credit card. It will be of the size of a credit card. We want to put it in the farmer's soil, which will calculate the moisture content, when you need water, and it will automatically switch on the drip irrigation when required and switch it off when not required. And it will keep sending the data back to us. All of this is going to help our farmers. And that is going to help us increase the yield per acre. Now, I want to see what's happening with my computer. We went through this. Now, what are the expectations of a consumer? This is a classic question. And I really want to see your answers. What do you think our consumers are expecting? So I really want to know, you are also a consumer, right? Your parents are also consumers. What are their expectations when they buy a produce? What is their first priority? I want to see what happens. I know there is a 5 to 10 second lag between the time you respond and the time I can see it, but I'm very curious to see what are the top things that the consumers are looking for. Quality produce, good product, good quality. Yeah, I know you're all kids, you're speaking your mind. This is what I thought. When I came to India, I said quality, quality, quality. But guess what? Reality is different. I thought when I talk about farmers, people will be like, wow, farmers, we want to do this. And here is what happened. When we went to our consumers, the number one point is affordable price. Quality takes the second position all the time. When I say all the time, I mean 90-95% of the time. Price is the undebatable parameter. Everybody is price conscious. Farmer, yeah, we'll think about it. But price, make sure I get it for the same price I got it from my local market. Yeah, right. The local market beats down the farmer and makes sure they sell it at a loss and go, and they can give you the tomato for 4 rupees. You buy the tomato for 4 rupees, I'm sure unknowingly you're assisting more farmers to commit suicide. But I can't talk about this to adults. That's why I've got the right audience. By the way, there's one more lesson I learned from Dr. Abdul Kalam. When he wanted to fight corruption, he didn't go speak to all the educated politicians, MPs and MLAs. You know who he went and spoke to? All the kids in schools. He kept visiting schools and spoke to all the kids and said, no corruption, say no to corruption, tell your parents no to corruption. I don't know where it went, but he made a conscious effort. And I learned this from him. And I'm hoping when I talk to you, you will also think, should price be the primary factor? Is that what I should look at? Shouldn't I be focusing on highest quality? And if I get it from the farmer and he gets it for a good price, I should be happy? Let's see if you girls can be the start for the change. And the third position was delivery at home. So price, quality, convenience, in that order is what our consumers expect. This was a shock to me. But then I learned it and I wanted to make sure you also are aware of it. So, we solved, or we are in the process of solving the problem. And that is why we say, welcome to 5-Minute Farmers. So what exactly are we doing? Here is something that we are very proud of. I wanted to show this to you. Why? This is a classic example. Have you ever heard or seen any consumer do some dish and send to your farmer? Have you heard of this? We are proud of that. At 5-Minute Farmers, we got this experience. We have our very popular superstar mango farmer called Palnivel Ayya from Namakkal. He brought amazing himam presents to us. And one of our customers, Rachna, did this nice dish. It's a pickle, it's a mango pickle. It's called chuda, the North Indian mango pickle dish. And she sent it with one of our delivery boys back for our farmer. And we gave it to our farmer. You should have seen the blush on his face. I felt so happy. This is just one incident. Beyond this, nobody has sent dishes like this. Rachna was an extreme case. She's like amazing. But beyond this, there are so many other people who called our Palnivelaya and thanked him. Some of them have sent WhatsApp messages to our other farmers. Some of them have sent audio messages to our farmers. And our farmers reply back to them. And some will type in WhatsApp and ask questions. Why is I got these mangoes? Is this Imam Pasand? This looks like Banganapalli. I have no clue what they are, right? Because honestly speaking, I'm a technologist. So I immediately forward that on WhatsApp to my farmer and say, can you tell me what is Bangana Pasand and what is Imam Pasand and what is Banganapalli? He'll send a reply back and say, these 4 are Imam Pasans, these 3 are Banganapalli. We send it back to them. So it's fun, right? And we also share our farmers' phone numbers with our customers. Have you heard of anybody doing this? And that is the reason why we say we are not the new digital middlemen. We work for the farmers. Why? If we pay 100 rupees to the farmers, we add 25 rupees for logistics, 12 rupees 50 paise for packing, another 20 rupees for our sellers, another 5 rupees for the platform, 5 rupees for phone and tech support, and 5 rupees for the damages and miscellaneous expenses. We sell it for 172 rupees 50 paise. This is the level of transparency we provide in every single produce we get from our farmers. And we are 5-minute farmers. And why am I saying you all this? When you run your social entrepreneurial business, always remember to step into the shoes of the other person and make sure they're always happy. By the way, this doesn't mean we keep our farmers happy and not our consumers. We will do anything that takes to make sure our consumers are happy. And that is why when somebody comes and says, oh, this produce is not good, no questions asked. I learned this from Amazon. Have you had Amazon's customer service experience? They are awesome. And I think they learned it from Zappos. Zappos is a company they acquired. It's a shoe company. And they had an amazing culture of dealing with customers where no questions asked, customer is always right, but we will do our investigation in the background, but we will give the benefit of doubt always to the customers. So these are some of the things that we have learned. And that is why we are proud of this. And I thought I should pass on some of these to you. And that ends my second session. I hope I have 10 more minutes. I want to go through my third part of this. So, as you can see, we are 5-minute farmers. This is what we do, and this is how we spend time with our customers. And this is how we spend time with our producers. And that is why we feel proud about whatever we are doing. And if you are getting onto such a journey, always think about why are you doing it and how you want to do it. Then make sure every step of the way you enjoy the journey. It is not the end result. End result will come. But learn to enjoy every step of the journey. And if you do that right, life will be awesome. You'll love this. So I'm going to give you some of the takeaways that I had in mind. So far, whatever I said, yeah, I think I've said a few things, like market yourself better, etc., etc. Did you realize throughout this presentation, I marketed in every single slide? Did you notice that in every single slide I said, order directly from farmers at this link, Did you notice that? Remember that. Never hesitate to market yourself. And be proud of what you do. Because I know that half of you are going to go to the link or go to your parents and say, I want to buy this now because I want to buy vegetables and fruits directly from the farmers. And look at this. Shamelessly, indirectly, here I am sitting and marketing 5-minute farmers in front of 300 or 500 college kids. And I want you to think about it and learn that. Okay, now back to the key takeaways. Number 1, empathy. I think I've mentioned about this. Always think about the person in front of you. For me, I believe in God. I don't know how many of you do. For me, the guy in front of me is God. I will do anything that takes to make them happy. They can be bad, they can be good. That doesn't matter. My responsibility is to make sure they're happy in the interaction with us. And when you do that consistently, you will realize that only good people work with you. You'll only be meeting good people. You'll never meet bad people. If bad people come, they'll all fall by the wayside. They'll not be wasting your time because they can't live your way. That's the first thing that I wanted to remind you. Always have empathy. Step into the shoes of the other person and run your business. You'll do amazingly well. The second thing, I am running a for-profit business, and this is for people who want to run a for-profit business. If you want to run a purely not-for-profit social cause, this might not be for you. Always stay positive, both in thoughts as well as in financial transactions. Every single transaction, make sure you're positive. This will ensure your business is never going, dependent on somebody else. It's never going beyond your control. You always make sure you have sufficient funds to handle the expenses that you're doing, and make sure your income is more than your expenses so that you can always scale up and do well. For me, if we do well for the farmers that we have, we'll obviously be able to do well when we scale up. And we made that as a habit from day one. And I recommend that highly to each one of you. Always try to make sure you stay positive, both in your thoughts as well as in your transactions. Third, most important, this is something that I had to create using my technology, my banking, my banker's mindset. We work with somebody called Can Kids. Can Kids is a organization where there are 16 cancer-affected kids in Adyar, in Kasturba Nagar. Somebody said they want vegetables, etc., etc. I thought about it. We can donate it, that's an easy way. But what if we find donors who will give the money required and we will buy it from our farmers, give it to the Can kids every week, whatever they need, without taking our profits or seller fees or any of those extra fees, right? We'll only charge them for what the farmer charges us and maybe the logistics and packaging, because those are actual expenses. When we did this, we realized that we were not doing charity. We were not doing donation. We tied the right teams together. The donors who wanted to make sure their money was going to the right place. The farmers who were desperate to sell high quality produce, and the kids, the 16 cancer affected kids from all over India who are staying there in Can Kids. We wanted to make sure they get the right produce. We sent it and we connected them. And for over a year, we're giving them this. And we're so proud of this. This is another example of how you make sure it doesn't have to be donations. You can make sure you find a way to make it happen as a business transaction, as a social transaction. You don't need to make profits. At least you don't make losses, and make sure everybody in the chain gets benefited. We do this with everything that we do. So Can Kids was a classic example, and the previous present was also talking about Banyan. We sent some good mangoes to Banyan, and we also sent some vegetables very recently to Banyan and said, try, taste it out and see how it is. And then we want to send them the thing saying, here is how much we spent for these. We don't want them to pay us for that, but we want them to be aware that to get this quality vegetables, this is how much you might have to spend. And by the way, the vegetables that we send to Can Kids or to Banyan or to anybody is the exact same vegetable that I eat at home. It's not something different. It's not like one for my house and one for somebody else. It's the same thing that every single member in 5 Minutes team gets. The same thing that every orphanage gets. The same thing that every consumer gets. This is how we do this. And the last one that I want to tell you is, you have to find ways to empower people who are not so lucky like you. The first one is a classic example that I tell to many people. In my team, I have somebody called Murli. I mentioned this in Stella when I visited the girls there. Murli is a guy who takes care of all my messages. Maybe I should stop sharing this. Or maybe I should switch to my WhatsApp and show you my Murli's role that he plays. So this is Murli, and if you see my screen, by the way, after coming to India, after meeting Murli, I stopped checking my mails. Murli checks all my mails and picks up the best ones and says, Anna, take a look at this. Anna, please check this email. Anna, do this. Anna, do that. So he's been doing this for over a year now. And you can call him as my personal secretary. He will filter out all the bad mails, the mails that I don't need to look at. And he sends me all the mails that are important and make sure I read it. So this is one of the roles that he plays. The other role that he plays is he looks into my accounts and says, you have to make this payment today, you have to make that payment today. He sends me all these accounts reminders. The third and most important role that he plays, he is our farmer coordinator. He calls up new farmers from all over Tamil Nadu and makes sure he finds them for us, filters them down, gets the initial produce, pays for it, does the pilot testing, and then when everything is good, he makes sure he introduces into the system. So he plays the producer coordinator role. Why? What is so special about Murli? Murli cannot move from his bed by himself. He had a spinal cord injury 14 years ago, and he's bedridden. And Murli, somebody said, why don't you donate something to Murli? I said, I can't do donations, but I can go meet him. I met him, I realized the energy levels he has. I realized the kind of guy he is. I thought, we just need to empower him. So all we did is we got him a good smartphone. And by the way, just imagine lying down on the bed, no connection from your head back to the rest of the body. The only thing you can move is your arm, and you can't open your hands. You can't use your fingers. He uses his knuckles and he writes messages on WhatsApp. So you see all these messages that come to me, Anna, check your mail, Anna, check this email, etc. Murli has sent this using his knuckles. What did we do for him? I employed him. I paid him 7,000 rupees a month. And by the way, he was living in the Koil Nelam Solvangal. Yeah, they had a cottage right in the temple land. and it was a very poor quality of life, or you can say standard of living too. Then we moved him into he's in Dindivanam. He moved him into a cemented rented house in Dindivanam, and we took care of the rent. And the first night that he spent there, he called me at 1 o'clock and he said, "Ana தூக்கமே வரல, cement வீட்ல தூங்குனதே கிடையாது." The happiness I felt that day is unbelievable. This is a journey that I'm talking about. I want each one of you to try and empower at least one person who is not as lucky as you are. Keep looking, you will find them. Don't give just charity. Doing one-time donation is not going to go anywhere. Enable them, empower them. And now I'm proud to say, like Murli, we have a great team. I have Kupamal from Vilpuram, who is also not so lucky. We have Karthik. Karthik heads some of my technology projects. He's based out of Chennai. If you want to visit him, tell me. I will help you go visit him. He's right here in Alliance Orchard Springs in Korattur in Chennai. He heads my technology. He runs a few projects for me in Australia. And the clients there are leading doctors there. They are in awe seeing the way this guy is handling things. And Murli was someone who had applied for euthanasia, mercy killing. He wanted to die. Today he'll say, one day one of my friends asked him, "How do you feel, Murli?" He said, I don't want to die. I've got a second life. This is the way that I want you girls to think. I think I've spoken a lot. It's 12 o'clock, so I will now pause and take questions from you. Back to you, Pratyusha.
Thank you, sir. I think with a unique interactive element, this was no doubt a powerful three-part presentation and an eye-opener for our audience, given that you shared with us such distinguished information. So now we will move on to the questions. Can we have them, please? Okay, so the first question, Sir Shashikala wants you to share with the audience what you think is the role of Kisan cooperatives in helping marginal farmers in India.
Yes. Kisan Cooperative, Amul, the FPOs in India by SFAC and NABARD, these are all initiatives that have come to bring the farmers together so that they can have benefits of economies of scale. This is a very in-depth question. Is it Sasikala from Mighty? I don't want to have any. It shouldn't look like Nangala question kuduthu badal solra mari. I hope, I don't know who this is, but it's a very good question. Somebody who's doing this. I hope, I don't know where the question is coming from, but it's a very good question. Yes, we are doing it. The Kisan Cooperative is along the same lines, all bringing farmers together, bring them together so that they can have economies of scale. Yes.
Okay. Can we have the next question, please?
How profitable?
Yes.
Amazingly profitable. I would love to talk to you about the profit model. You can go look at this at 5minutes.in/calculator. Okay, so I have not shared my screen, but you can take a look. I can also spend at least an hour with you on showing how the profit model is arrived at. Yes, 5-minute farmers get 5 rupees for every 100 rupees that our farmers get, and that's our profit model.
Okay, we have the next question. So what actions do you take to improve the technology learning in our farmers' life, given that a few of them are uneducated? Ask Niveda Selvam.
Yes. So the way we are starting is we're not even expecting them to have a smartphone. It's sufficient if they have a feature phone. A feature phone is a phone which has only those buttons. You remember the old Nokia phones? It's sufficient if they have only those, or the Geo phones. That is sufficient. We are starting from there, and we're helping them grow one step at a time. We are teaching them slowly about how to look at the current market prices, how to look at your current production cost, how to understand what are the other costs involved, how to make sure you don't miss out on a few production costs. For example, many farmers won't calculate their effort if the husband and wife are farming, they will not put their hours as labor cost. They'll not do that. If the land belongs to them, they won't put the rent for the land as a part of the production cost. We're educating them on all of these. And slowly, by the way, we use heavy machine learning in the back end. Our system learns from every single transaction that we are involved in and comes and arrives at the good production cost and the selling price for the farmers. So we are passing on some of this knowledge back to the farmers, but at this point, they are very, very early. 50% of the farmers have WhatsApp, 50% don't even have that. So we are trying to help them. Yes, Technology is the most passionate thing that I'm most passionate about. So yes, we are going to help them more on this.
Okay, so thank you. The next question is from Anusoya.
Unique business is not regular business thinking. What do you think about declaring agricultural land? Yes, it is not unique. And I'm telling you also, please don't do cookie cutter businesses. Don't do things that everybody else is doing. Do only things that is unique. Solve a unique problem and be proud of the way you solve it. What do you think about declaring agricultural land? It's a very different, in-depth conversation. One word, one sentence answer. Yes, people are selling agricultural lands and moving away to other things because flats and plots are getting them more money. Very disappointing. We hope that we can do the change. We can bring in the change faster so that it doesn't happen. India needs agriculture. The next one. We are yielding terrace garden. How can we improve our gardening? Also, we help the needy with what we have. Okay, if you're doing terrace garden, I recommend you go to. Remember, I mentioned Curtis. He has a site called theurbanfarmer.co. Go study some of the techniques that he has done. You will love it. He is called Urban Farmer. So you can search for Urban Farmer and you will come across Curtis Stone and go through it and you will learn a lot. I learned a lot of things from his site.
Can we have the next question, please?
The reason behind 5-minute farmers. You don't have to do it now. India, we have to change the place. I'm tired of living in a country where the rich is becoming richer and poor is becoming poorer, and our farmers are struggling. That is the reason behind 5-minute farmers. And of course, it's a for-profit venture. I'm also going to make a lot of money after our farmers make a lot of money. What are the steps taken by 5-minute farmers to disseminate this program to other parts of the country? Not much. We started with Chennai. Because of COVID, we went from 50 orders a day to 500 orders a day. By the way, that's one thing I want to tell the kids. Kids, COVID has hit us. That doesn't mean you have to be quiet. We had to take a call in the beginning of COVID. My team came and asked me, why don't we pause till the COVID thing gets over? We were delivering 3 days a week. They said, why don't you pause and we'll start again after COVID is over? My answer to my team, and all of them agreed in one shot, was, let's deliver every day. People need us more. Farmers need us more. Let's do that every day. So at this point, we are in Chennai, we are in Hosur. Very soon, we are coming to Bangalore. Hopefully, we'll cover the rest of the country very soon.
The next question, please.
Government is introducing many policies to help the farmers, but where do they go wrong? 1 crore is spent on every single FPO every 3 years. And from 2014, this is going on, FPO concept. And so many FPOs have failed. That means, where are all these 1 crores going? I can have a full debate with you, full discussion with you. I'm going to post a LinkedIn post explaining where they're making mistakes. It will take a lot of time to explain, but at this point, many of them are failing. By the way, Tamil Nadu's agriculture department is one of the best in the country. I have to let you know that. And they're doing amazingly well. But on an average, across India, many FPOs are failing. But that's a different topic of discussion. And I'll be happy to explain more in detail later. So how do you choose farmers across all India? At this point, we are choosing farmers from Tamil Nadu. Murli and his team are going and talking to farmers in Tamil Nadu. Recently, we got in touch with somebody called Ramesh, who is also affected by spinal cord injury, and he's permanently bedridden. He is helping us bring in farmers from Andhra Pradesh, Nellore, Gudur, Chittoor. So we are also getting some farmers from Karnataka. So we are now having farmers in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Andhra. Hopefully, one day we should be able to get farmers from everywhere. What difficulties did you face and how did you overcome them? Difficulties, every day we are struggling. And you will also struggle when you do something. Don't think it's a piece of cake. Don't think it's very easy. My delivery boys get stopped by every single police person in most of the places. We have the passes, we have whatever is required. It's struggle. But we will work, we'll do whatever it takes to overcome it. How many times we have felt, oh my God, how do we do this? And somewhere from nowhere, answers have come out. So do your best. When you do your best, you will realize answers will come. So do not stop till you have done everything that you can. Beyond that, don't worry about the outcome. It will only happen based on how you are committed. The next, there is a scheme that already exists to buy directly from farmers. What is your opinion about these schemes? Great schemes. Red means stop in red light. How many of you are stopping in red light in red? That's the answer to this. There are great schemes available everywhere. How good is the implementation? That is the problem. When people like you and me don't even stop at red light, how do we expect things from farmers directly to come to us without any commission in the middle? There are many people attempting to fix this, but at this point, the results speak, right? Farmers are struggling. What do you think about the locusts eating up all crops, and how do you think we can help farmers? The locusts are primarily in North India right now. Similarly, we had a problem 1 year ago called fall army worm. You can read up about it. It came from Africa down to India, and it spread very fast, and that was solved well. Locusts currently are not affecting us. The fall army worm was affecting us big time because it was infecting the corns, and many of our producers in Tamil Nadu produce corns, sweet corn, American corn for export, and they were affected. With locusts, we are not yet impacted. Many people are all these conspiracy theories that locust is going to come to South India. At this point, I think it's not a big deal. It is a problem, but not a major one like the fall army worm one. Even locust in North India is being controlled. I think it did not become a pandemic the way they were thinking. The fall army worm was a major one, which had 100 times magnitude than the locust.
Okay. Can we have the next question?
I have 5 more minutes, right? We stop at 12:15?
Yes, sir. 12 program ends at 12:30. So
awesome. Good. Any more questions?
Any more questions?
What are the things that draw back 5-minute farmers? Yes, there are lots of drawbacks in 5-minute farmers. Number one drawback is me. My chief operating officer always tells me, you overcommit. Because I aim for the stars. My goal is I'll at least land on the moon. He says, undercommit and over-deliver. That's a big debatable thing. But I like to go with his thought right now. His name is Vinod. And I have learned from him that do not over-promise. Under-promise and over-deliver. I had this biggest drawback. If I do this, of course, everybody else will do that, right? So at 5-minute farmers, we are trying to only under-commit and over-deliver. And we are trying to change ourselves as much as possible. That's one of the key drawbacks. Another drawback, we are a self-funded organization. And we are bent against taking funds until we grow really big. Okay, so that is a big debatable topic, and that is another topic. So there are quite a few things where we have drawbacks, and we don't work with any government directly. We work everything directly with the consumer and the farmer. We feel that is sufficient. The farmer should be the consumer. What more is required is what we think. But these are some of the drawbacks that we have understood, and maybe working together with other organizations might actually help us become better. Next, do you take?
So this will have to be the last question, which is, do you take college students as interns?
Of course we do. And Manvi, the one I was talking, she was in third year college waiting to write her final year exam. And I told her, join us after you finish your exam. But the exams never happened. So she joined us, and she heads our customer relationship management for all PIN codes across our PIN code groups. So there are quite a few college kids who are with us. So the secret formula I have is very simple. Find kids who are half your age and who are double as smart as you are, and work with them. And why do you think I'm spending time with all of you? Because I'm seeing that many of you are half my age and double as smart as I am. I just need to find you. We'll work together. Please reach out to me. I'm sure you saw in the slides. I marketed it very well.
So with this, we will have to close the question and answer session. So with that, we come to the end of the second session, and I would now like to propose a vote of thanks for Syed sir. So on behalf of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell and Stella Maris College, I thank Mr. Syed Hussain for enlightening our students with such vital knowledge and motivating them with his priceless lessons. 5-minute Farmers is the perfect example of how ideas can transform your life, and it was a privilege to have you with us today, sir. So thank you so much for this session.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we conclude, I'd like to make an important announcement. A feedback link for this session will be posted towards the end. Kindly ensure that you fill the form in order to record your presence at the session and to receive your e-certificate. I repeat, the feedback link has been sent. Please fill it in to record your presence at the event and to receive your e-certificate. Thank you. So with that, it's time to draw the curtains on today's program, and I would like to now propose the overall vote of thanks. I'd like to begin by thanking Lord Almighty for showering his blessings on us. I'd once again like to thank our speakers, Ms. Anuradha Krishnamurthy and Mr. Syed Hussain, for leading today's event. I'd like to thank Dr. Sister Rosie Joseph, Principal, Dr. Lima Francis, Dean of Commerce and Business Studies, Dr. Vidya Srinivasan, Vice Principal, Shift 2, and Dr. Shanti Ranjit, the Head of Department of Commerce, Shift 2, for giving us the opportunity to conduct such a prestigious event. I'd like to thank the office bearers of the ED Cell for weaving together this double power webinar. I'd also like to thank the audience, the Department of Commerce, Shift 2, the management, faculty, and students of Stella Maris College for their constant support. Thank you for joining us today.